You're listening to Real Facts on Real Estate with Sean Patrick Maloney.
That sounds good.
Welcome to episode 20, Professionalism in Real Estate. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. Thanks for joining us for our 20th episode here. I'm really excited for the fact that we put 20 episodes behind us and that we're moving on in the future towards more training and better real estate talk for real estate professionals. This week I want to talk to you about real estate professionalism. It's a very funny industry in real estate where constantly you hear people griping and moaning about their clients and customers or about their relationships with other professionals within the industry, talking about things like time management and meeting deadlines. All the time I hear agents or other professionals say to me, I can't believe my client or this other contractor wants to meet at this time. So let's start with that conversation. This is a really important one. The way you can look at it is, say you had a doctor or dentist or any other professional industry, attorney, accountant, and so on. All these people, whenever you talk with them, they always say to you, when they go to schedule an appointment, they say to you, which time would work better, Tuesday at 2 or Friday at 5? Times being an example there, but they always give you two time slots and they say which one is better. They don't do what commonly happens in the real estate industry, which is give the person the answer, well, what works best for you? Well, what works best for most people is after work, which is usually 5 to 10 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday. So whenever we use the words what works best for you, why are we shocked when we get an answer that is off hours? Whenever we allow the client to do that, they're going to give us these off-hour answers because that's going to allow them to take the least energy out of their schedule. But the one thing you need to remember is this person's buying a house. It's a one-time journey for them. And yes, when you can accommodate around their schedule, are you going to create some better relationships in certain fashions? Of course, but if you were to give them set times, you'd be surprised by how flexible everybody's schedules are. Most people who work for smaller employers or employers who care about their employees are able to take time in order to do things to do with their home sale, as well as able to schedule times that work for them. The other thing that comes into play is when you're actually thinking about your schedule, don't ever think that I'm going to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, as a real estate agent. Now, I've seen this actually in some training books where they tell you that it's a possibility and that there are agents out there doing it. I would like for any of those agents to reach out to me and explain how they do that and how they maintain relationships with clients and see what they're actually doing for client services. My suggestion is be willing to have a flexible schedule and be willing to take time off on certain days, such as a Monday morning or a Tuesday afternoon or whenever works best for you to get out there and enjoy the beach and get out there and enjoy some time off. But realizing that, you want to make a couple of weekend appointments available for people because we are in the real estate industry, especially when it comes to open houses. That's going to be a time where you need to do that, and sometimes showings. But again, if you always give the open availability of your schedule that you can do it at any time, it means to the person that when's best for me, which again, don't be surprised when it's after 5 and on the weekends. So the next thing in professionalism in real estate is answer your phone. This is something that's unbelievably done so often. I'll call another agent, I'll look to be scheduled an appointment, or I'll call a home inspector, or I'll call somebody else, and they don't answer. Then they call back, and it's off hours at a random time, and they're like, I'm sorry, I've been super busy. That is not professional. You need to work on doing things called time blocking, which is blocking out times where you have available time to call people back during those regular business hours of a week. It's unfair to your clients as well as other agents to call back when they call in for a showing at a ridiculous hour back or way after. Let's be honest, we're not in the 24-hour rule anymore. Back in the day in real estate, quite often it was 24 hours to schedule a showing. Nowadays, with the Google era and the fact that people click on buttons and things happen, saying 24 hours from the time that they requested to the time that they can get into the house and then not calling them back for 12 hours means it's 36 hours from the time that they requested the showing to the time where you show them the house. The thing is right there is they may have looked at other homes already. They may already have other prospects and they may be already shopping with other people. So by doing this, you're pulling down the level. So again, how does this relate to professionalism? If you're the fiduciary for your seller and you're there trying to create showings and opportunities to sell their home, and you're not getting out there and getting on those opportunities, then that's not being a professional. There's other ways that the phone comes into professionalism as well. Never, ever, ever, as a salesperson, should someone call and get to a full voicemail box. It's completely unacceptable. Even if it takes going into your CRM or going into your notepad and writing down notes from your voicemails, there is no reason to save 30 voicemails or whatever the amount is that a voicemail box can hold. The other one is having no voicemail and just having a phone number. If I call a phone number, it has no voicemail and just a phone number, and I get to a full voicemail box, I say one thing in my mind: this person owes a lot of people money or has done a lot of people bad. And the reason they don't want anyone to know their name is because they don't want people to know they got the right number, which usually they're trying to avoid things like debt collectors. That certainly doesn't say professionalism in my book. Having a phone number, your name, best times to call back, maybe your callback times, as well as having a little brief message, something along the lines of, "Hello, you've reached Sean Maloney of Momentum. I'm sorry I missed your call. If you leave your name, your number, and a brief message, I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. I usually do my callbacks between 9 and 4 during the weekdays and 2 and 3 on weekends. Thanks for calling." So, as you see there, you can give them all the details they need in order to get a hold of you, as well as your name, as well as the fact that you're sorry you couldn't get to them. It's crazy to me that, I've called people and gone to put a voicemail in, and there's no space for my voicemail, and then I end up texting the agent. And then I have agents literally that have never once spoke to me, never once confirmed my identity, never once even asked for my agent ID to make sure that I'm an agent, and text me back a lockbox code to somebody's house. Do you know how dangerous this is? Do you know that there's people out there that are willing to do things like this to steal everything out of a home? And to think all they need to do is text the person from another phone number? I understand there's ways to confirm my phone number and stuff, and I hope that they did that, and I'm just thinking that they didn't. But the reality is that if you're going to have people going in people's houses through lockboxes, and you're going to do it through text messaging, you better do a lot better job of doing your due diligence and being that professional that you need to be. Being there and thinking to yourself, okay, well, I got a showing, and this is easy enough because I have a text message, so I'll just align it with that person. How's that working out for you when the house is empty, when your clients get home and all their possessions are stolen? This would be a really bad situation to say, hey, well, the agent texted me once and I texted him the lockbox. I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure, as you can tell, your clients would not be thrilled to hear that you texted somebody the information to get into their home and you never even confirmed that the person was a real person. It's a real situation to be in. So let's think about that. Now let's talk about another one. During the home inspections or open houses or any other time when you're there as an agent, this is one that really irks me as another agent. I hear so often agents come in and totally drop professionalism and totally go to, I'm just another person hanging out here at the house, talking about old war stories, about the worst home inspection they've ever seen. During a home inspection, they're over there talking about the time that my client found mold, or the time that my client found that the walls were falling down, or whatever. That's not really funny, and it's not really a good time to be using those types of examples, because you have a client there that you represent, or you have a client there that wants to buy a property that you represent, and you're there talking about worst case scenarios. Well, they're about to get a 70-page book about what's wrong with their home, and either you or the listing agent is going to have to explain to your client why there's these little problems. As we all know, there's problems in every home, and it's a major challenge to go over a home inspection report with them because of the fact that we know that there's always problems with every home. So by talking about worst case scenarios and then having like a little tiny bit of mold show up versus you were talking about the time that you had to take all the walls down and the person was lucky that you were careful enough that they took all the walls down. Now you find a tiny little bit of mold that could be cleaned up by just cutting out a little bit of drywall and replacing it. And now suddenly your client's like, I don't want the house anymore. I remember that story that he told during the home inspection, and I think it's too much. I don't want to take this on. The other one is during open houses, just talking about things like past interactions with people. Oh, this person came in and said it was overpriced, or what's your opinion of the value? I hear these things so often. When two brokers meet or two agents meet in a home, it's really important to remember that when we're at a broker's open and we know there's no one else there, it's okay to say certain things about homes or to talk back and forth, because it is important to value each other's opinions on what valuations are and things like that. But when you have the clients there, you need to take that professionalism and bring it to a higher level. When you have the lack of professionalism at that level, it really says to people, geez, I'm not sure about the price considering they're talking about whether it's good or not. So then some other places in the real estate transaction that professionalism is lacking is the lack of attendance to items. So often now, real estate agents want to dot loop documents, mail checks, have the attorneys go to power of attorney, and show up to 0 events during the whole entire home purchase transaction. This is so wrong. We're in a relationship building industry where we build relationships with people and get referrals off them in the future, as well as we're putting them in the most important and most expensive transaction of their life, so it's really important to be there to guide them. For some reason, the agents are all trying to make their job as least as possible, which means 2 things. Number 1, you're going to get replaced by online transactions. If you're not there ever, and it's as simple as dot looping and mailing checks and everything, I hate to break it to you, but companies like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, and the rest of them, all they would need to do would be to turn it so that they have a PayPal type source where they could do the money orders back and forth, and they've completely replaced your whole transaction. All they do is show people properties online, give them codes to lock boxes, let them in houses, and then have them do the transaction online between the 2 parties, and we're gone. But the thing is, clients want representation. Clients want people there that are on their side. Clients want the person that they can call after hours and say, geez, I really don't think I should do this, and to have you talk them down. Not have you talk them into it, but have you talk them down. Have you explain to them, no, you actually do want to do this. This is a great decision. Paying rent for the next bunch of years is going to cost you this much more, or other things like this. And I know it might seem funny that they want you to talk them down, but they just want somebody to talk it through with them. Similar to what a therapist would do with somebody, where they're not breaking ground. They're not changing what you're going to do. They're just establishing that you are making the right choices and that you are working forward. So as the real estate professional, it's important to be there for them at all times. I actually try to meet with my clients and talk to them more often. I try to get in touch with them as often as I can so that I can build lots and lots and lots of connections with them so that they're a long-term, lifelong client, and also that they want their friends and family to work with me. This is a time where it comes into play again. We talked earlier about the telephone. The telephone is the most important tool in your entire book and what makes you professional. There is nothing worse than when someone calls you and you immediately text back. Unless you're in some situation where you text back, I'm sorry, I'm in the XYZ situation, I'll give you a call back a little later on. There is nothing ruder than somebody who says, oh, I just missed your call. Did you need something? Yes, I needed to speak with you on the phone. That's why I called your phone. I didn't need a text message. I know the young generation thinks that text messages and emails all will solve everything. And then, the lack of emotion is now fixed by about 300 emojis that can say different things from smiley face to angry face. But the reality is there's a lot of emotion in voice. And everyone can attest to this because I'm sure you've heard in time that if you smile while you're on the phone with people, it will transfer over. I can promise you if you smile while you text with people, they have no idea you're doing it. There's no difference in the words, and it's similar to when someone writes something that isn't quite funny and someone writes, ha-ha. Did it read ha-ha or ha-ha? And those are 2 different ways of reading ha-ha. And of course, it's like one of them says ha-ha, as in, sorry, that's your problem, or ha-ha, meaning I'm nervous and this isn't exactly the way I wanted it to go. Let me figure that out. So that's the importance of making sure that you're on the phone. And again, it comes down to professionalism, because professionals get back to their clients. When situations arise, professionals talk with their clients about it. When bad inspection reports come, you don't just email it over, you call the person and discuss it. Or even better yet, you set up a time to meet in person and go over it. That way you can measure the emotion of the room, you can handle everything, and you can keep the deal together for them. Because remember, sometimes when working with a buyer or a seller and they're trying to break a deal apart, it isn't exactly what they want to do, but they're relying on your professional opinion and your professionalism to keep the deal together for them. There are so many instances where professionalism comes into play in real estate. If you want to go over any of these situations or you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me through email as well as text message or direct messages. I'm also available here quite often on Tuesday trainings. Feel free to come down to the office or join in on our group, Real Facts on Real Estate, found on Facebook. Or you can also read our blog on our website, momentumrealty.com, under blogs, under the Real Facts on Real Estate one. We go over quite a bit of information on this. Thanks for following the podcast. Again, really excited about the 20th episode coming out this week. and look forward to talking to you next week. Have a great week. Thanks for following.